Hello, how are we all? Welcome to Introduction to Economics, the economic problem. This is for Economics Year 1 Group B. I've realised that I've set up on Google Classroom. I teach two economic groups and I've put both my groups C and D in the same class. I couldn't bother to split it all up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of flag up and make sure that only the right people are being driven towards the right thing. If it does get too confusing, I might have to rethink my plans. Today's date is the 7th of September 2020. This is online learning. My name is Neil Slotnick. I am a teacher of business and economics for economics and business. I'm also a senior tutor. I am also in the safeguarding team. And I'm also a tutor for a lot of you, I think. Anyway, my email address, if you don't already know it, neil.slotnick at leighton.ac.uk. The N and the S of my name don't need to be in capitals for that. My office phone number 0208 928 9048, and my office, sorry, I should have put, is room HE24. So if you ever want to come and see me, find me. When are you going to be seeing me? We're going to be seeing me every Monday online at 3 until 4:30. And you'll be seeing me Thursdays 1:30 till 3 o'clock in room G1. For this Thursday coming, our first face-to-face meeting, make sure you have a pen, a pencil, a ruler, a calculator, paper, folder, and are there on time. Now, normally these online lessons are going to be proper Zoom-based occasions, like a proper lesson, just via video. For today, because I understand that there's been some issues with people not being in on Google Classroom, etc., I'm going to do this as a pure video. All right, it's going to be long, but stick with it. It's interesting stuff. What am I going to be teaching you? For the first 3 weeks, I'm going to teach you the basic economic problem, and this fits into economics theme 1. For the rest of the year, I'm going to be teaching you macroeconomics, which is theme 2. What I'm asking you to do before I see you on Thursday, go out, get yourself separate folders for themes 1 and 2, because they're assessed on 2 different papers in 2 years' time, okay? I'm going to get straight into it. When I see you face to face, I'm going to tell you more admin stuff, although Tim, you might be seeing in person first. So he may be telling you that. I'm not overly sure. All right. But obviously, I'll check in with you on Thursday face to face and see if you've had already explained to you the paper structures and stuff like that. All right, so what we're going to look at today then, someone's just opened the door and shut it on me, which is quite annoying, but there we go, is the common economic problem, or the basic economic problem, or the economic problem. And the way that if I were you, I'd be thinking about this. Just ask yourself why you chose economics as an A level. And from those that I tutor, reading through some of those blue writing forms that you did for me on the induction last week, economics is interesting. Economics is good because I'm going to go and work for a big American bank, so I need economics so I can make my millions, defrauding the public, etc., etc. But the economic problem in this context is, what other options were there? Economics couldn't have been your only choice. And the last question links to this. Why didn't you choose economics plus the alternative? So you know at Leighton, you can only do the 3 A levels. Imagine if you put down maths, psychology, and then you had something like economics and history as your final choice, and you chose to do economics. Well, statistically speaking, you couldn't have done economics and history because you can't do 4 A levels. So you would have done whatever I said, maths, psychology, and economics, or history. You couldn't do them both. So there's kind of a limit on what you can do with your time. That makes sense. I don't think I explained that very well. I apologize. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. Let's take this economic and I'll come back to the idea. The economic problem then, according to the specification, and we are on Pearson's EdXL, we're economics A. All right, and I'll give you on Thursday the schemes of learning and all that kind of stuff as well. What I want to take you through today is a problem of scarcity, the notion of wants, the notion of resources. I want to talk to you about the different types of resources, and then I want to think about one key economic theory, opportunity cost. I'll talk to you about economic agents, which is there. Okay, so those are my objectives for the next however long this takes. All right, now, what do we mean by the basic economic problem? Basically, and I hate using the word basically, so I don't know why I said it, we have unlimited wants. I want everything. I want absolutely everything. I still sit there and think to myself, why am I not playing for Arsenal right now? Why do not I not have a Maserati? Why haven't I got, the best of everything? But we answer that by saying there's not enough resources available to supply all of these wants. Why am I not playing for Arsenal? Simply speaking, I'm rubbish at football. The resource of skill wasn't there. Why don't I have a Maserati car? Well, how do I get a Maserati car? If you don't know what a Maserati car is, I think it's an Italian car. Well, I lack the resource of money in order to buy this car. I've got a Hyundai i30. Students often tell me that's a Fed's car, a police car. No, it isn't. It's my car. But the resources that I have in terms of my finance allow me to buy a home. As a teacher, I'm never going to be earning the money to get a Maserati, a Ferrari, or whatever. And the other thing to say, the third bullet point, this creates the economic problem of scarcity. Resources are scarce for me. As a teacher, you know full well teachers don't get paid fortunes. Listen, I'm not complaining. I'm comfortable, okay? But in some respects, my cash resources are more scarce than, say, friends of mine who work in banking, who may be on double, triple my salary, maybe more if they're doing well. So the economic problem, from what we know so far, means that we've got finite resources. Resources are running out, but our wants are infinite. Everybody on the planet never stops wanting things. Now, things are very much relative. If you are some posh person, you live in a mansion in Knightsbridge in Kensington, your wants are going to be very different from mine. You might be sitting there thinking, well, I've got Stone Island. Now I want to get the more expensive Stone Island. But for me, it's I've got a jumper from Penguin. Now I want a jumper from, I don't know, Diesel, something like that, based on my cash resources. Hopefully that makes sense. And the bottom point is then we need to be making choices about how we use our scarce resources. So I've got to pay my mortgage. Obviously, those in my tutor group know I've got a son. He's 4. He's just starting school actually today. So, my money, I've got to think mortgage, bills, keeping my son healthy, keeping him happy, getting him toys. Toys are flipping expensive. And then kind of the choices that I make for myself almost come in last. If you look on the left-hand side of this slide, explain how the economic problem can be applied to education in the UK. Well, if you went to a private school, say Bancroft or Forest, so Forest is just around the corner down near Wanstead, Bancroft's up near Woodford, you're going to pay, or your parents are going to pay, I hate to think what the term costs are, £37,000 a year, something like that. You're going to have a class size for economics of maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 people. So the resources there are not particularly scarce. Resources aren't running out. One teacher for 8 students. You look at any school sixth form, you look at Leighton sixth form, you look at Havering sixth form, class sizes are far bigger, but then you're not paying £37,000 a year to be here. This is free education, but the resource is more scarce because the taxpayer pays for it. So we really need to think about kind of making choices for our lives. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to post these PowerPoints up. So if you are stuck, you can by all means watch this video as many times as you want, or you can look over the PowerPoint, do your own Googling, stuff like that. I also realize I'm moving my hand quite a lot. I will stop. Textbooks are on order as far as I'm aware. It will be the CGP textbook. They've still got the sad old jokes in them like you would have had at GCSE, but they're good for A-level. Okay, I'm also going to signpost you towards some links for some good resources as we move on through the first few weeks. Right, so economics is there to satisfy the wants and the needs of society. And the key thing that you need to recognize is the split between wants and needs. I want a Maserati car. I want a Stone Island jumper. Actually, I do own one, but I got it in a kind of past time in my life where I had a bit more money than what I do now. Again, not that I'm poor. I want a massive house in Knightsbridge, okay? But I just want those things. I know I'm not going to be getting them. I need safety. I need shelter. I need clothing. I need food. I need to look after my son. Those are my needs. And if I don't do those, the economy is failing me. If I can't have a house, the economy is failing me. Obviously, I could top up with benefits, go into council accommodation, stuff like that. That's the economic solution. But, for me with a job, if I had a job and couldn't afford a house, then economic activity is failing me. The second bullet point that says, are you ever guilty of using the wrong term? Yes, we are. I need a Ferrari. No, you flipping don't need a Ferrari. Sit in a Hyundai, it's a good car. You can put your kid in the back, you can drive around, absolutely no problem. You might want that Ferrari, but no. So what I want you to do for me, please, can you write down a list of 4 needs and 4 wants in your own life? And then we will look at them on Thursday and I will laugh at you. Simple as that. An economic problem will also try to answer 3 basic questions. What do we produce? How do we produce it? Who do we produce for? And this problem is faced by us as consumers. We consume goods, the producers who make these goods, and the government who look over those 2 things. On the left-hand side of this slide, you've got some basic definitions of economic activity, needs, and wants. Just to draw your attention towards the orange text that talks about economic welfare, I do a whole lesson on that when we start off macroeconomics. But obviously, the more resources we have, the more cash we have, the nicer our house, the nicer our car. You could say the more benefit that we gain from that. But again, this is very relative. And by relative, what I mean is my hand is still going. Sorry, this is a stream of consciousness. By relative, what I mean is things are different to different people. Okay. In terms of resources as well, and I'm going to come back to renewable, non-renewable resources when we finish off this first 3 weeks of learning, but you might have done this in GCSE geography. Renewable resources can be replenished, trees can be used for wood to generate fuel, and they can be replanted, so we get more trees. Obviously, it's very long term for a tree to grow, but trees can come back. Non-renewable resources are finite, they will run out. Oil, natural gas. Every year I teach this and people, oh, we've got 10 years left of oil. No, we haven't. I mean, I doubt. I'm obviously older than you lot, but I don't think it's going to run out in my lifetime. I don't think it's going to run out in your lifetime. So let's not be worrying too much about that. But listen, it says work in pairs. Obviously, we can't do that. By yourself, just jot down. And if you've not got yourself organized, if you don't have a folder yet, just use a bit of paper and you can add this into your folder. I'll make sure that I get this PowerPoint printed out for you as well, so it'll all marry up. Can you list me some renewable and some non-renewable resources? The big kicker in today's economy is about sustainability. We're looking for sustainable resources. They're ones that are being used for economic activities in a manner where they won't run out. So we're talking about acting sensibly. We hear about overfishing, all right? So, if you're an English fisherman in English waters and you're catching cod, you should be catching cod that the government tell you you're allowed to by limit, by volume. If you catch triple the volume, you're basically killing off the long-term supply of cod. Think about it economically. If cod's running out on a Friday night, I want to go and get fish and chips, then the price of my fish, the price of my cod, because it's more scarce, is going to be higher. So the volumes of these resources available have a direct correlation, have a direct mapping to the price. Okay, and the other example of sustainability is the example of replanting trees. It's also about green energy, and we'll talk about that as we go into macroeconomics. But innovation and green energy, kind of solar energy, are absolutely key now. Why do you think so many houses now on top have got them solar panels? The sun is not going to run out in my lifetime, in your lifetime, but green energy keeps things sustainable. We're using a natural resource to power our energy rather than using nuclear power stations, coal power stations, all that kind of stuff. Hope that makes sense. All right, if we take the idea on, then we think about the notion of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost, by definition, if you've done business studies GCSE, econs GCSE, or geography GCSE, you may well have discussed this, but the definition is opportunity cost defined as the benefit lost of the next best alternative when making a choice. Second bullet point, all resources are scarce. We know this. We've got to make choices to allocate resources. And we always have competing alternatives. Let's take this down to the simplest thing. You've gone to the shop, you see a Pepsi, you see a Fanta, you've got money for one. Well, straight away, the resource allocation that you've got means you can't buy both. You buy Pepsi or Fanta. But if we think about opportunity cost, if you buy the Fanta, you get that bubbly orangeness and all the sugar, but you've lost the benefit of the closest alternative, the Pepsi. You don't get that brown sugary sludge going down your throat. If you buy the Pepsi, you don't get the benefit of the orange goodness of the Fanta. You know what I mean? Because your resources only let you buy one. And if we upscale this to economics, and I'll talk to you about this in a bit, there's an opportunity cost for everything that we do economically. So to sum up then, opportunity cost is the cost of the next best alternative. There's a range of alternatives, all of which have been given up. All of these alternatives are referred to as a trade-off. For example, by sitting in your house watching me do this video now, your trade-off is you're not playing the PlayStation, you're not chatting to your mate on flipping Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, I don't know. So in pairs, obviously not. By yourself. To solidify this, write a definition of the term trade-off, support your definition with one example from each of these bullet points from your own experience, from a government perspective, from within a business. When the government do something, for example, all this money going into the Eat Out to help out, all that money is getting pushed into the economy. Where's the money not going? What's the trade-off? Within a business, have a little think about it. And then think about as well why the trade-offs actually exist. So give me a little answer to that question. Why do trade-offs exist? Remember to show your economic terminology, trade-off, opportunity cost, wants, needs, scarcity, all that good stuff. We've also got the idea of opportunity cost to economic agents. Now, we'll do more about economic agents as we go throughout the course. Our key agents are our consumers, producers, and the government. Okay? We need to think about what to produce. Economic incentives will provide economic agents with the information required to tell them what goods and services to produce. By incentive, what we mean. Let's have a look at it at the moment. Coronavirus, it's been mad. It's a bit less mad, but still a bit mad. But if you're a medical company, if you're a pharmaceutical firm, if you're a chemical firm, you have an incentive now to be working on providing one of those vaccinations for coronavirus. Because can you imagine the cash your company is going to be getting if you're number one? Okay, so the incentive is getting that cash into the company. How do we produce? Firms will combine factors of production. I'm not even going to go through that now. I'm going to do that when we sum up the first 3 weeks of lessons. Okay, but firms have to think about for who do they produce for. In a free market economy, we produce according to demand and supply. And Tim is going to go straight into demand and supply with you via diagram. Look at that bottom bullet point. If there is demand for a product, a firm may wish to supply it for a profit. I always wonder about this brand Supreme. Yeah, now there's a restaurant that I like in London. It's called Bone Daddies. It's like ramen, all that kind of stuff. And you sit at a window, and then whenever I sit there, opposite is that Supreme shop down in Soho. And there's queues of kids and their families and their whatever to just get into the shop to look at the branded clothes or whatever. And you're paying what, 80, £90 a t-shirt, maybe more, maybe less. I've never been in. People are crazy enough to pay £90 for a t-shirt that says Supreme, then Supreme is going to supply it and they're going to get serious cash money in. Just to say on the left-hand side, a free market economy, as I've said, is where businesses decide what to sell, what prices to set, and they learn what to sell and what prices to set through us, the consumer. Tim's going to talk to you more about that when he looks at demand and supply with you. Okay. So I want to finish things off for today by kind of giving you an overall example of an economic case, bringing in all of this stuff. And it's going to focus on kidneys. Those that I saw for the tutorial last week on Thursday, this is the information that I give out before I do that kidney task. All right, so I'm just going to give this out, but we're not going to do the task. The kidney, all of us have one or two. I don't know, maybe two, probably two. It's important, all right? It cleans the blood. It takes out things that shouldn't be there. If you smoke, it cleans out your blood. If you drink alcohol, it will clean out your blood. Anything that you put in to your body that isn't good, the kidneys will wash it out. If the kidneys don't work, the body doesn't flush out all of the stuff that we put into it. I've said madness there, stuff, things, whatever. This is not a good thing. What's the point? Okay, this is not a biology lesson. Let's make this clear. The NHS deals with way over 12,000 kidney-related cases a year. At its worst, if the kidneys fail, you need to get your blood cleaned using a machine. This is where economics starts to come in. Here's your economic problem. If there's over 12,000 people in need of having their blood cleaned on a yearly basis, and there's limited facilities to do this, how do we decide who we treat? There's an opportunity cost coming in. Kidney treatment is done via a dialysis machine. that cleans out the blood in case of the kidney. These machines cost a fortune and they're time limited. We can't have 1,000 dialysis machines in one hospital, one for each patient. You might have, say, 10 machines and a patient gets to use it for half an hour a day, something like that. But not everybody who needs access to the machine is going to get access to one. So if you think about it, Whipps Cross Hospital over the back of the college, they're going to have to recruit planners and project managers. Many of these guys are economists. Think about any hospital. Yeah, the doctors, the nurses, the consultants are key, but the economists are also in there. And their job is to plan and allocate time on machines, in operating theatres, in whatever, to patients in need. They've got to consider a range of factors when selecting suitable patients. And they also work with the opportunity cost of knowing that by rejecting somebody from access to the dialysis machine, they may well die. They also know that putting people on the dialysis machine is not a guarantee of saving a person's life. They also know, final point, that some people can get kidney transplant, which cuts their need of a long-term use of the dialysis machine. But if the transplant fails, and that's another resource, putting people in operating theatres and cutting them open, they're going to have to go back on dialysis. So if you look at that case study, I feel like I'm getting a bit overly excited talking about hospitals and kidneys. I apologise. It's getting quite late on a Friday. But if you look at that, we've got the following things going on. Dialysis machines are scarce. They cost a lot of money, so there's not a lot of them in existence. Your NHS planners have to make choices, and the choices have to be rational. They have to be intelligent. They have to be factually based over who gets access to the machine, and they'll have to justify this decision to management. For every patient treated on a dialysis machine, someone else is going to be missing out, given the scarcity of time and access to the machines. So there is your opportunity cost. So we've taken this away from, I don't know, Pepsi, Fanta, ice creams and all that. And now we're talking about core economic decisions via the NHS. So here's what I want you lot to do. 2 tasks, all right? First things first, I want you to write me a short essay. You need to answer the question. Treating people with kidney disease is a very easy thing to do from an economic perspective because the NHS has got loads of money, loads of time, loads of facilities. Discuss this question with reference to the key terms and ideas from today's lesson. We're going to go through this in our lesson on Thursday face-to-face. There's no marks for this question. It's not a 5 marker. There's no structure per se. But if you write less than half a side of A4, something has gone very wrong. All right. Now I'm going to escape out of this and I'm going to set you another task because you've got the rest of this afternoon's table session. We've only been here about 20-25 minutes. And obviously then you've got homework time, okay, before I see you on Thursday. So I'm going to send you this simple, I'm going to set you this simple worksheet. Question 1, what is meant by the term economic problem? Question 2, what is the difference between finite and infinite wants? Finite resources and infinite wants. Question 3, define opportunity cost. In the box below, choose an appropriate opportunity cost for each of the factors. This is quite easy if you go back to the Pepsi and the Fanta example or the kidney example. I don't quite get what they're saying there by the bottom one, breathing. The opportunity cost of breathing, the next best alternative that you forego is not breathing. Bit random. The other one to say is consumption today. What that means is, say you got 20 quid. What's the opportunity cost of spending that whole £20 today on something that you want? It's a bit like my son. He doesn't get the idea of saving. If he gets, say, £15 off his grandparents, he will want to spend that full £15 on jitsus, on whatever he wants today. But then when he comes to me the next day and says, Daddy, can I have toy number 2? So hang on, you spent all the money yesterday. So think about it in your context. Some of you are obviously 4 years old. You've then got number 5, using different colours, highlight which of the following are needs and which are wants. And some of this is mad. Love, year 11 prom, I don't know, I'll let you think about it. So there's your tasks. I'm going to put this one up as an assessed task. That means that you need to do it and send it back to me on Google Classroom. The essay you can do on paper. If you want to submit it to me on Classroom, feel free to do so. I don't know how you do that. Just basically do it on paper. There we go. Hopefully this has been useful, people. I'm going to post all this up onto Classroom now. And I'll see you on Thursday. But obviously you'll engage with this on the Monday. And from the 14th of September onward, we will be doing proper Zoom online lessons because all of you will be logged in. All right. Have a good rest of the session. Work hard. Do my essay, do my worksheet, get it all done for Thursday. Adios.